The fact that he came off Boogie Nights, which was a total different movie, and he made this is just amazing.
Well said.
All right.
James.
Yes.
I'm curious to what was your opinion on the film?
Oh man, so I really like how interconnected everyone kind of was.
Yes.
Like it really shows you how much like you. I'm trying to think of the words. It kind of how you're related to somebody you might not even know you're related to. Kind of in that sense of like you're friends with somebody, but you know how like everyone in the movie is kind of their story kind of overlaps someone else's story at a certain point, and that's just how it is in real life. Everyone is kind of connected in some way or fashion. And I really like, and you kind of touched on it. It did remind me a lot of Crash. How the story is very not the story, but the way it's very similar to that.
Amores Perros.
Yeah.
The way that they roll, the way it's presented to you, it's like the same kind of structure.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it's the same in any way, but this movie is long.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was 3 hours when I started it, and I was like, God, I got like 2 hours in, and I was like, oh, this movie's probably gonna be over like 20 minutes or something. I looked it up on I think it was like IMDb or something, or I just searched the movie, and I was like, holy crap, 3 hours and 9 minutes.
Not in Magnolia, man. It's a big movie.
I've never seen it before. This is my first time watching it. I enjoyed it. I think I remember. No, I can't say that I haven't seen it. There's some aspects or some scenes in this movie that seem familiar to me, like the frogs falling from the sky and then the guy in the scuba diver in the tree.
Yeah.
I think as a kid, I know my grandma has this on VHS, so I might have watched it with her or been in the living room while she watched it. But yeah, this movie was pretty good. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it too much. When it first started off, I was like, oh man, this is going to be one of those movies where I'm kind of like waiting for it to end. But it really wasn't. It was, for me, it was like that maybe in the first probably 10-15 minutes where I'm kind of just trying to see what's going on. And then you kind of get into it, and it was really interesting. And what's the actor's name who plays he's kind of like the caretaker for the old man? Oh,
Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Yes. My buddy, he has the same exact job that he does.
For Hoffman.
It's such a shitty job. He loves that job. And one of the guys that he takes care of just recently passed away last week. And he'd been taking care of him for the last 3 years. So it's pretty that job is super rough.
Yeah.
In general, just because you build a relationship with these these older elderly people, and they tell you all these cool stories and their life and everything. But it's kind of getting away from the movie. But the movie was great. I enjoyed watching it. Tom Cruise was a really good asshole in this, and it makes me think
he's like
yeah, because he plays one really good. He plays an asshole so good. It's this guy's probably really an asshole in real life.
Yeah, that's exactly my when I rewatched this. Was it Sunday morning? I watched it again, and Tom Cruise I was just like, that's probably how he really is. Straight up.
Misogynistic asshole.
Because he's so smooth. He's so smooth. Sorry, go ahead, Tiny.
I was going to say, I was talking with Vic, I was like, yo, bro, we're doing Magnolia, and he's like, dang, fool, Tom Cruise is such an asshole. It was fucking hilarious, dude, because it's true. And he plays it so well, dude. He plays a really good asshole. He's one of those characters that can do that.
What does he say? One of his first lines is protect the cock. Or something like that.
Hell yeah. Frank Mackey, dude.
Frank T.J. Mackey.
Yeah. I love that scene where he kind of gets called on his bullshit by the reporter. She lets him spew all these lies and all this fake background story on himself, and then she's like, your mom was so and so, your dad is so and so, and you lived with your mom until she passed away from cancer. like your mom. She's like, your mom's dead. She's not alive.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can see he's like, oh shit, like she knows what she's talking about. She's not just some like stupid reporter.
That's why
she did the research.
That's why I opened the show with that dialogue, because I thought it was so powerful and a very kind of iconic moment, and it represents so much. Where a lot of people, not even just famous people, but people in general, will spew rhetoric and let you just devour it, and you go upon it. You know, you just go about your day thinking that that's facts, and it's not. You know.
Yeah.
And so it's scary.
Yeah. Especially nowadays.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I want to go to like the reason why I believe he's like that is because of he has also a tragic past, so he uses that facade to be something that somebody noticed, which is the reporter, that he's not. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy because she calls him out saying that you took care of your mom. You're not like this douchebag fucking guy. You know what I mean? Like. Mm-hmm. So it was cool. Like, what was your name? Guinevere was the reporter, right?
Yeah.
Guinevere, dude. She had such a strong stance in the movie, dude. Like, I don't know. I liked her scenes. I wish we kind of got more, but Tom Cruise is a dick, and like he ran out of time.
Yeah, she kind of pulls away his layers and exposes him for what he really is, and how he's like created this facade as a protective thing because of what his father did to him. You know, he was felt so betrayed and hurt by his father that he created, and that's what people do. They lash out. You know, whether it's becoming extreme racists or whatever. And in this case, it was like he used misogyny. You know, where he was just like, "Fuck women," like, you know, whatever.
If you noticed, right when Guinevere got there, he says that you shouldn't be here or something like that.
It's not safe for you.
Because she's obviously African American, but that's crazy, dude. And it's crazy to me to think that he's such an asshole that he immediately he comes on with his underwear or whatever.
Yeah. And
then he says like he's Batman or some shit like that, or like
I'm Superman. I'm Batman.
I'm Superman. There you go. Yeah, dude. Like I was like fucking Tom Cruise, dude.
Because swinging his junk in front of her.
Because if I remember, he's been trying to aim like a Superman role or like a Batman role for like forever. You know what I mean? If I'm not mistaken.
Was he?
So that's crazy that he would say that, and he's all shirtless and shit, and being a douchebag.
Also, I wanted to say, why does Tom Cruise look the same now?
Exactly, that dude has not aged.
That Botox, bro.
Yeah, that's not. He didn't take no Botox, dude. He looks the same. 20 years. It's been 20 years since this film, and that guy looks the same.
That guy's devouring souls.
That fool.
That's Scientology, dude.
That's Scientology shit, fool.
And I got the cure.
Hey.
Found the tree, found the youth.
I really liked John C. Reilly's kind of little story that he had.
Of course, yeah.
That was a really cool one. And then he ends up, falling in love with the basically like a cokehead.
Yeah, I was about to say that was a lovely oxymoron of a story, dude.
Yeah,
because
he's just like that's kind of fate. There's some weird fate,
weird twist of fate.
Yeah, because when you're introduced to John C. Reilly's character, he's this kind of this hard-edged cop who's like, I don't need anybody. He takes his job way too seriously. And, and then he just happens upon this call. This, was it like a domestic disturbance?
Like a disturbance, yeah.
Loud music. And you can tell right when the woman opens the door, he's automatically like entranced by her, and he even says it later on in the conversation. Ever since
Claudia, right?
Yeah, Claudia. Ever since you opened the door, I've been thinking about asking you on a date, and I know that's super like unprofessional, but I just can't help myself. And then it's funny because Claudia's character, she's broken and she's like used, using drugs to suppress these feelings of when she was molested by her dad as a kid, which you find out later on in the film, and that's why she's fucked up, So then it's almost like John C. Reilly's character comes, and it's like he's like her knight in shining armor, or that's what it's trying to portray, because she was,
how insane is it when he loses his gun in that scene, and then at the end with the storm and the frogs and whatever, it falls down right in front of him.
Yeah, that's definitely like the most talked about scene in this movie, dude. Definitely, for sure. Like, I want to get like some deeper with that scene itself. Like, if you notice during the movie, the frogs were used to show like the peak of basically all 10 of the people's, like, their emotions were peaking, like, and that's why the frogs fell. And I think there was a scene where it's very small, but like it's like at a bus stop, and you see this Bible verse that basically I forgot what it says because I didn't write it down, but it was supposed to signify that was going to happen in the movie.
Exodus,
so there was
right?
subtle hints. Like Stanley, his story was kind of crazy too. Little Stanley, he basically gets like raindrops on like the car, like signifying like the emotions are building between all these people. Like it's like going to an all new high for all the people in the cast. Like, so like it's just the emotions were very strong in this movie. That's why it's very dramatic. 3-hour movie. To be honest, dude, it's amazing that he fit all of this into 3 hours. Like, to be honest, in one movie, because like what it takes like a whole 8-season episode of something to get this far in one movie. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of amazing.
Yeah, how effective. Because if you're a fan of this writer director, he always does this similar style where he's just very good at fleshing out these characters and what they're about, you know. And this movie, you get so much when you're in, even 2 hours in, you feel like James said, oh, this got to be over soon.
No.
But it's like, no, you still got about like 55 minutes left, you know. And it's crazy because even though it is long, I feel like the pacing for me, because I watched it twice because I didn't want to really miss anything, so I watched it twice for this episode, and I feel like the pacing is really good for what it is, and for what he was trying to accomplish. You really do, you don't feel like your time was wasted, you know, especially with the performances from everyone, and like the high caliber of everything in this is so good. And I'm glad that they chose to not just promote it as Tom Cruise, who was like probably the biggest actor involved in this at the time, the way that the studio wanted. And you know, P.T. Anderson was like, no, we can't do that. This is like an ensemble epic film. It's not, do not market it as this is a Tom Cruise movie, you know, which is what they wanted to do in the beginning. And I'm glad that they, you know, he fought for what was right, and then we got what we got.
Yeah, they didn't push it as a Tom Cruise fucking movie. Yeah, it's good. Because the cast is good, dude, and they've all, like, these are veterans, dude. All of them were all good. Even now, they're still, like, fucking really solid people that act.
It was William H. Macy who plays like a has-been child star.
He was. You can see like the resemblance between him and Stanley. That was like that shows that small, like, he was once the smart kid that answered the questions. Yeah, and then that title eventually went to Stanley, even though I don't think they were related, but it's just the story that relates them together, you know?
Yeah, it was great, like, juxtaposition of
it. It's I think it's one of the stories also, like, that sold, like, when parents are like when they don't realize their dream, they try to push their dream on their overbearing. They try to push their dream on their child. With your child, it's like, you know, you can't really do that because it affects them later on in life, and you could tell
Stanley was affected, or Donnie was.
Yeah, Donnie was, like, really, you could tell when it was affecting him when he was telling the beer tender, like, I'm in love and I'm sick, but I will give you all the love that you need. And even when he got caught stealing you could tell, like, he even says it, like, oh, I have so much love to give.